All right, we are here with the driver of the number 88 Nationwide Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports, Dale Jr. I'll just kick it off right away. Big week for you, obviously. Just take us through how everything's gone since Tuesday.
What's that? Sorry, I was listening to this conversation.
I just wanted to see how everything has gone, how your week has gone, and obviously there's been a lot of support since your announcement on Tuesday, and maybe just a reaction to the outpouring of love for you over the last
yeah,
days.
yeah, it's been real positive, which I'm thankful for. Upset, I was worried people were going to be upset and angry, like, you know, what the hell. So I was glad that they, so far, you know, for the most part, it's been real positive. Obviously, the conversations I've had with folks in the media and in the industry, in the garage, has been great. And, you know, so it's been good. We also went to the Nationwide Children's Hospital Thursday, which was a really timely good thing to do because I was ready to get back to work and, you know, get back to my routine, if you will. So that was fun to go there and sort of get that, you know, get the whole announcement and everything else off your mind for a little bit. And but yeah, it really went great. I thought the press conference was set up well, and that all went smooth as I guess I could have hoped. I felt like when I was up there giving my speech that I sounded like a monotone robot, but everybody seems to be giving me positive reviews on that. So otherwise, I mean, it was really good. You know, it's been hard to admit that's what I want to do and that's the choice I want to make. And but otherwise, you know, the feedback's been great.
Great. Thank you, Dale. All right, we'll start off here in the front with Jim, Jeff, Paul.
JimMotorMotorsport.com. I was going to ask you this the other day, but is there anything to the idea that perhaps Sunday, for the first time in your racing career ever, you can race with no pressure whatsoever? As far as you're always looking ahead to something or having to do something, and if that's true, then what's that? Have you given that much thought?
Well, I certainly, you know, I think that there'll still be, you know, the fans are going to want you to do as well as they can. So, you know, they're still going to have expectations, you know, as per usual. The team, the guys, they all, myself, we'd love to win some races. You know, I almost say a race, but some races would be, you know, great going out in your last season to get some victories. We just want to, you know, to go to victory lane one more time, just get that experience one more time would be awesome for me, and I think the guys would love it for sure. But I certainly did feel a lot more relaxed. Now, I don't know whether it's because I finally got to tell everybody and let everybody know what we're doing, get that over with, but I certainly felt real relaxed today in the garage during practice. I felt like there was less pressure from somewhere, and a large amount, you know, a lot different. We had a good practice. We weren't exactly right when we started, and I guess that freedom of thought and free from the stress or whatever that I was dealing with, you know, helped us get through a good practice and find some speed. And I don't know whether we'll be that fortunate at every practice and in every race, but you know, I kind of thought about when we knew it was Steve's last year when he was my crew chief. He called that whole season completely different. You know, he was really, he was more aggressive, and I think it was because he had the freedom to be that way. And he's like, you know, what if it don't work? And a lot of times it ended up working out. We won both of those Pocono races on pit calls that he made. We didn't just outrun everybody. There's things he did in the middle of the race that we might not have done had he not had that, you know, had his mind made up what he was doing and hey, this is my last hurrah. We're going to go for it kind of attitude. And I noticed that whole year, he was a much more easygoing, approachable. I mean, he's pretty damn likable, but he was much more likable and easy to be around. Everything rolled off his back. We didn't get frustrated as easily, and I'm anticipating that being similar for me. Not, that's it. I mean, if usually when we start practice and the car's tight in the center and stuff, the tone of the conversation is completely different. But since being able to make that announcement and let my guys know, and everybody else included, I'm not going to get so spun out if something's just not perfect on the car, or the car's not exactly what we need, or we're a little slow. I guess I won't be as panicky about it, and frustration won't jump in there as quickly as it usually does. I had to stay late Friday and help the guys pick up pits and all that stuff because I was too frustrated and mouthy on the radio, and so there'll be a little bit less of that.
We'll go Jeff, and next Paul.
Hi, Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. Not that we're trying to shove you out the door or anything, but there's been a lot of speculation about your replacement.
Yep.
How much input do you expect to have on that process?
I would love to have a lot, but in my position, I'm paid to drive Rick's car. If he wants something else from me, I'm gonna wait for him to ask for it. I wouldn't never go in there and go, man, that's what you guys got to do. With Ducard and all the folks that they have working there, they all probably, I can't read their minds, but I'm sure they all have a direction that they want to go, and they have ideas that are, there's just things about the company that I'm not quite as in touch with that that'll help them make that decision. They don't need, they've probably got everybody in the world telling them what they ought to do, and they don't need me. But if they ask for it, I'm certainly wanting to be involved in that. I want the team to have more success. I want it to be. I said this every offseason. Like every offseason is a chance to be better than you were the year before. If it's an opportunity to make those personnel changes that are in those hard decisions, it's a chance to do it. The things you can't do in the middle of the river, in the middle of the season. When Steve was on his way out, me and him both said, anytime anybody in the team is being replaced or if they're being promoted, you got to try to make that spot better than it was before. I felt like that Greg was the guy that could come in there and make that job better than Steve. If we're going to make a change at crew chief, we want to upgrade. If we're going to make a change at driver, we want to upgrade. So I want that team, I want them to have a driver that I feel is plenty capable, and because I want to see those guys win races because they're my brothers, and also love it when Rick's happy and he likes to win. So, I certainly have I'm invested in that team personally. So I'd love to be a part of their future and what they decide to do. So I'll just wait and see if that's something they want me to be a part of.
Paul?
Paul Woody, Richmond Times-Dispatch. Dale, Martin Truex Jr. and Elliott Sadler came in today and said that they wouldn't be where they are now without your help. The younger drivers who've been in today said you've been a big influence on their careers as well. What is it about you that enabled you to help people, that you saw people who needed help and were able to give it to them?
Well, one of the things that enables me to do it is our notoriety, our ability to connect with partners, to be able to bring in partnerships to fund that race team at Junior Motorsports. And so, the people want to come there and be a part of that, and that gives us an opportunity to give drivers, crew chiefs, crew members, all those guys a springboard to whatever their dreams are. And like the Navy came to us and said, you guys want to start a team? I mean, why'd they call us? but so I think our reputation and notoriety in the sport led to our opportunities to help those people, and that Navy sponsorship indirectly got Brad Keselowski his opportunity with Penske. We were able to get Brad in the car. I can't run the car without the funding, so it's it's just our connection with Hendrick as well. We weren't a very competitive team when that communication and connection wasn't as strong. We made a lot of changes in our organization several years ago that increased the communication back and forth. Basically, I brought in a bunch of guys that Rick wanted to cultivate and that were possible future crew chiefs. The next, trying to find the next Chad Knaus. We brought them all in there, and we're responsible for these guys and giving them the opportunity we can to succeed, and it now connects us to Rick, because he has his people in our organization that he's trying to grow. And, like Greg Ives' story is a perfect example. Chase's story is a perfect example. So for us to become an asset to Hendrick Motorsports in that way, to where they need us as much as we really need them, was really key to give us opportunities. It just, it just seemed to have been a lot of luck, a lot of good things, a lot of good fortune for those opportunities to line up. When me and Teresa started Chance 2, I was talking to Richie Gilmore, and he said, "You need to look at Truex's son." We were at a race somewhere, a practice, and he was testing, and he was out there running around, and I had my car there, and we were flying, and I said, "You ought to get in my car, man. This is exactly how your car's supposed to drive," so he can go back and work on his car, know exactly what he's trying to do to get his car to work. And we struck up a friendship, and he ended up driving for us. Just a lot of random encounters and people tipping you off. Mark Martin's one of the guys that was always really good at tipping you off about drivers, or he was a good scout as well. I always admire that about him. Knowing when he saw talent. I always wondered what he was looking for and how he found it. But I love to, it's another part of it is your own ego. You kind of want to leave a mark on the sport. You want to leave some evidence behind that you were a part of it and you were there and you did some things to help it move along. So as we've ran through this the last several years with the Xfinity program, I've been really proud with what we've been able to accomplish. I feel like we've done a lot of great things outside the car, as well as what we've done inside the race car on the Cup level. So, and to be quite honest, I'm not very hands-on. I love being a part of it, but Kelly deserves a majority of the credit, because she's the day-to-day operator over there. Yeah, I mean, best thing about this job is working with your friends. I mean, when we start going to the racetrack as a kid, you take your buddies. You don't take strangers with you. And if your paths can cross, one of the coolest things about owning that Xfinity team was being able to get my peers like McMurray drive my car at Atlanta and win in it. Stewart drove our car several times. Robbie Gordon drove it a couple times. All those names, Harvick come in there and really helped us a lot as a company. Now, he didn't just hop in the car. Like, he was he was big on, helping us get going in the right direction with our equipment, how our cars needed to be, and helped us understand how to be more diligent there. So the list of drivers that I've been able to put in that car, I'm super proud of having the opportunity to do that. To work with it's basically about just working with your buddies and having fun with your friends.
Okay, we'll go to Tom. We'll try to get to as many as we can. We have a number of questions. Nate, and we'll go in the back. Tom.
Hey, Dale. Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. Was there a single day like you woke up and said, yeah, this is it for me? I mean, you talked at length the other day, but you never really talked through when you came to that decision and how long it took. I'm curious. Well,
it didn't happen like that. It was when I was hurt last year, there were several chunks of time where I was like, I don't think I can race again if I wanted to. So there were several points in the deal last year where not driving cars was a real possibility. And you know, I didn't really even care that it. You know, I was so sick. You were so sick that you just wanted to be normal. You didn't care whether you got to race again. You were so bad you just wanted to hopefully just get right. You know. So it wasn't like it wasn't like it happened. You know, it wasn't like this just happened this season where I was like, made my mind up. What I went through last year, as I got well, the idea of racing became a real possibility. But one thing that never left my mind was, retirement was kind of always in the back of my mind, and I never could get myself to 100% say, man, I want to do an extension. I'm going forward 100%. I'm in mentally, everything's 100%. I couldn't never get there. And, I was like, that must mean it's time for me to hang it up. It's so hard to explain how that happens. At least for me, it wasn't something that just, it wasn't like a switch, It was kind of like just a long, what's it been, 10 months since I got hurt? That whole experience is part of the decision, It's not really just like one reason or nothing really stands out. It just it's what I need to do, and I need to do it. I need to make this decision. I mean, my heart still loves to drive, and I will have so much fun the rest of this season doing that. But there's a time when it's got to come to an end, and that's how it is for me.
Hank?
Hey, Dale, I know you said Tuesday that you don't really want this to be a tribute tour, but obviously with your popularity and the way the sport has struggled with fans.
Did I say that?
Kind of.
Man, why did I say that?
You can only have so many rocking chairs, man.
That was dumb.
But obviously with your popularity and the way the sport has struggled, tracks are going to kind of milk you for everything they can, right to the finish line. Are you cool with that? And is there a way to use that to kind of promote something else, that you're leaving behind?
Yeah, I don't really know about the second part of that question, but the tracks got to do what they got to do. None of that is going to rub me the wrong way, and in my head, I'm going to be thinking this, man, this is the last time I'm going to do this at this track. It's, when we go to these places for the second time, I'll certainly be like, man, this is the last time I'm going to race this racetrack and in competition with these guys. And, so I'll be thinking about those things, having my own experience with that. So I won't be too, whatever tracks need to do, that's okay. It's a little weird. The packages, like the $88, but that stuff's always kind of been a little weird to me. But it's whatever tracks need to do. I'm cool.
All right, we got time for one more question. We'll end it on Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Dale, how will you decide what it is that you'll do next? I mean, I heard there's a big agency hired. Kelly be involved. You probably have some philanthropy ideas. And how will you make the decision? Yeah, I mean, take some time with it, but how will you?
I couldn't talk to anybody about what opportunities were out there. I got a lot of things, obviously that I'm interested in to see if I'm wanted and see if there's places for me to be. And Rick's told me he wants me to be involved in HMS. I don't know what that means, but I want to be a part of racing. I know that. So whatever he wants me to do, I'm certainly open to sitting down and seeing how I can be useful. Obviously, I enjoyed my fun in the booth if that's an opportunity for me, I'm certainly going to have those conversations to find out. But I haven't been able to really talk to anybody and even try to sort that out because I couldn't communicate to anyone, man, I'm going to retire, so can we talk about X, Y, and Z? And as you think this is something I could do? But now I can. Now I can have those conversations with the people that I really trust. And yeah, we did team up with an agency, and we, we met with several. It was really coincidental. It wasn't connected to the retirement decision because we still kind of hadn't made that decision in the initial meetings. But we ran through we vetted out a few opportunities with different agencies, and we basically did that solely because we feel like we've exhausted everything we can do within our own, under the roof of Junior Motorsports with my sister, Mike Davis. We kind of want to open ourselves up to what other opportunities and possibilities there are for us, and whatever ideas that they might have. So that just seemed to be the time is right kind of decision. Not really. I hadn't chosen fully to retire when we started meeting with them, but that's going to be some stuff that I think produces opportunities, but maybe not career-long opportunities, just kind of one-offs here and there. We'll just see. I don't know, but I want to stay busy. I want to work. I want to, I would love to be one of the people that I really respected a lot was Benny Parsons. I thought that he left as important of a mark outside the car as he did inside the car. Whatever mark I can leave, I would love to be able to be as big an asset to the sport as I can be beyond driving. It's up to everyone else how big an asset I was up to this point, but I'd love to still, be helpful and do whatever I can to help the sport. I love being around it, being a part of it. I love racing. I love watching racing. And we got a lot of things to be excited about, a lot of young talent pouring in, and they're going to be fun to watch.
We're going to squeeze in one more. I'm sorry I couldn't get to everybody, but Dale's got to go.
Well, obviously, anytime we won a race here, that was great. We won a couple cup races, a few Xfinity races. Last year, we won right before that was really the highlight of the season last year. So it's been a great racetrack. I think I like this racetrack so much because it really reminded me of Myrtle Beach, very similar in shape and as well as group level. And I kind of grew up racing at Myrtle Beach for about 4 years in the mid-'90s. So when I came here, I was like, wow, this feels, I'm not intimidated or don't have to really find my way around this place when I first started coming in the Xfinity Series in '98. Just kind of seemed to fit because of my experience at Myrtle Beach.
Dale, for all the
you.
time.
Sorry
for those that didn't get a question in. Good luck this weekend. Appreciate that. All right, we'll continue this afternoon's media availabilities with the driver of the number 11 FedEx Ground Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. It's Denny Hamlin. Denny, this is your home track, and you're very successful here with 3 wins. Talk about what it's like coming home and adding a 4th.
Well, it's always a track that we look to get on track, for relatively speaking. It seems like this racetrack, for whatever reason, it's been good to me. Obviously, very similar to Martinsville in the sense of no matter how good or bad our cars are at the certain time, we always can be competitive at a racetrack like this. And so we hope that that's the same case this weekend, and we look to try to get our first win of the season here.
Great. Thanks, Denny. Any questions for Denny? Please raise your hand for a name. We've got Claire, Chris, Nate.
Claire Beeline, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Denny, when you think of coming here, people are talking a lot about Kyle Busch here and that, this might be his win because he's good here, but he learned a lot from you, and you were always good at this track. How have things shuffled around as far as who's good here and how you feel coming here?
Well, it's we've seen so far this year, there's, probably 4 to 5 cars that are fast every single week at every type of different track that we've been at. So I would suspect that they'll be in the mix no matter what their history is at this racetrack of being good or bad. I just think sometimes when you have a really fast car, you become good at that racetrack because your cars are really fast. And so I think, on tracks like this where aero is not as big of a deal, motors are not as big of a deal, you can look at some of the older veteran drivers that have had good success at this racetrack and throw them into the mix of the guys that have been competitive all year.
Chris Knight, catchfence.com. Denny, I know that at Texas you got out of the car and you spent a lot of time with your crew chief, and you guys are really working hard to try and figure out what's going on at JGR from last season compared to this season. Do you feel like that you guys are taking a step in the right direction after Bristol, and then looking ahead forward as we get closer and closer to the chase?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've never lost a race. Never lost a race because I've always left the race with more knowledge than what I did entering it. And so there's always something to be gained, whether you're running good or running bad. And sometimes you don't always gain as much when you win. So I think that we are slowly getting better. We're gaining more knowledge, trying to figure out what it is that we need to work on. I think we've identified some areas where we need to work, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen this week. It won't happen in a month. Some things are going to take a long time for us to get better at, but I'm very confident that when it all push comes to shove, and we're in September starting the chase, we should be hopefully back where we were, if not better.
Denny, is a lot of this contributed to the 2018 Toyota model? Do you guys feel like that's where you guys have gotten most behind, is dealing with this new model for Toyota?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's some of it. I think the rules change is some of it as well, and I think our competition also did a phenomenal job over the off season of getting better. The 4 or 5 cars that I talked about, they just showed up this year with just more raw speed than what they had at the end of last year. It's the same drivers, same crew chiefs, but their cars are faster, and that makes your job a whole lot easier. But these are the trying times, as you could say, that defines your character, and it makes you work hard. And so we were on top for probably a year and a half, every week having 4 or 5 of the fastest cars each week. Sometimes we won, sometimes we didn't. But we're going to get better, and we're not on top right now, so we got to work extra hard to get there.
Go Nate, Jeff, Tom.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Denny, a 2-part short track question. Coming out of Bristol, there was some debate over if the treatment of the track resulted in a good race. It seems like drivers generally thought so, that it was better than the bump and run style. I guess first, what's your take on that? Where do you fall on that?
I fall in, I was a huge fan of the old Bristol, but I was also a fan of the new Bristol. I think it's something that changes up. I thought that the track continually changed throughout the entire race, which made us adapt, which I think made for great racing. I would love to see them apply something like that at the middle to top of Dover. I think Dover, you look at the old races way back in the day, they had cars all over the racetrack, the high line, the low line, and now it seems like it's really buried itself to the low line. The problem is that what we're aiming for at Bristol, where we all want to run around the bottom to make the bump and run legitimate, you can't do it at Dover because the speeds are too high. So you need to apply it high at Dover to then create side-by-side racing, which we haven't had there for a very, very long time. And when everyone runs the bottom at Dover, aero is such a big deal you can't pass. So I'd love to see it used at other concrete tracks. I think it was a success, and even though they applied it a little bit wider at Bristol, it still wore off to where the top was pretty good at the end of the race. So I think it's a variable that I don't mind them throwing at us every now and then.
And I guess following up on that, I know that this place used to be sealed till about 15 years ago. They used to treat the surface. Should they look at doing something here at Richmond in terms of, I don't know, VHT or going back to a sealer? Does it need some help? Or
I don't know, because if you ask the drivers, this is like the perfect racetrack. But to the fans, sometimes it's not, because they do get strung out. And I think the reason the drivers and the teams like it the best is because if they hit their setup, they can just dominate a race here. And it's not always the best thing for TV, but it's a good thing for the competitors, and so it's kind of a balance of what's good for the competitors and what's good for putting on a fantastic race. And so, yeah, I don't know what you can do it here. I mean, we've had races where we were running the wall and we were running the line, and some guy he led almost every lap. So I don't know whether spreading out the cars or making them run one line here is the best thing to do, because it's kind of a hybrid track between Dover and Bristol where aero matters. You can't just follow someone and knock them out of the way because you can't get close enough, and it's kind of a hybrid track. So it's really a tough track to really change.
Yep.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. Denny, you're very good at predictions and odds and things like that. What are the odds, in your opinion, that your former teammate Carl Edwards would come back at full-time in a Cup car next year?
I would just be guessing, but I would say 50%. I think that Carl's a competitor, and so I just, at his age, I'd find it hard to believe that he would just step away and not do it ever again. And I think him leaving the window open in his press conference to say that, you know, he's not retiring, he's just stepping away. I think that it depends. I don't know. Has anyone found out whether he's having a good time right now or not? Or I think that would tell the story of whether he's interested in coming back or not. But, you know, from what I hear from all the retired drivers, that it's awesome for like a few months, and then you kind of get bored a little bit.
Go to Tom and then Randy.
Denny, Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. You made the point earlier that you guys are behind now. We see this constantly. There's one team up here, and then they fall back 12 months later, 18 months later. Why does that cycle keep perpetuating itself no matter what the top team?
It's happened forever. NASCAR used to fix that. They used to cut spoilers off of certain makes and models and to help them, and then they'd help another manufacturer when they were behind, and it's just been a evolution. And it's because a lot of it is because we're sitting in garage stalls, you know, 6 foot from each other, and if someone's running faster, you can just eventually you find enough pictures out there to figure out why you're slow, and then you go to work, and sometimes while you're doing that work, you hit on something that makes you even better than them, and then you're faster, and they're checking out your stuff, and it's a cycle. And so you know, that's what racing is. It's just a matter of, you know, who hits it at the right time, and really has the luck to go with it that makes you a champion.
Randy?
Yeah, Denny, Randy Holman from the Towns of Thatch. This year there's been the penalties on pit road have been very tight. There are new segments.
I haven't had any speeding penalties. How about that?
How have you done that? Because you had a pretty bad year before.
Well, we won the first race of the season last year in the 500, and so my objective from that point forward was to find every limit of pit road that I could. Any place that I hadn't sped, I needed to push it more and eventually speed to find where my limit is. And this year, statistics show I'm the fastest driver on pit road, and still to have no penalties is pretty amazing. So I think that we were trying to work to find the edge last year, since we were already locked in the chase after the first race. But under this format, I couldn't have done that, because you can't afford to give up regular season points this year like you could last year. So that's pretty much. I think I've just kind of honed in on all the targets, and that's where I'm riding right now.
Back here.
Denny, Mark Davis, NBC 12 here in Richmond. With the Gibbs guys still searching for that first win this season, is this track a good slump buster, so to speak, for you guys? You know, you guys won the last 3 here, consistent success. Is this a good one to kind of break that streak and get the victory lane?
I hope so. I mean, I think for me, the 12 years of my career, it's always taken me a long time to get over winter break. For whatever reason, it's taking 10 races or whatever into the season to kind of hit my stride. I'm not really sure what it is. I try just as hard at the beginning as I do the end, but it just seems like you know, that break in the off season, it takes myself a little while to get over that hump and get in the flow of things. So, you know, I'm not really sure. I think this is the typical part of the season, though, when we do get better. We start to get, you know, to the short tracks of Bristol and Richmond and Talladega's coming up where we've been pretty good. So it's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's the schedule that favors me later in the season. But, yeah, certainly I come here always with the expectations of winning, and when I don't, it's a pretty disappointing weekend.
All right, I think we're good. Denny, thank you so much for coming in, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks.
All right, we continue our media availabilities with the driver of the number 23 SweetFrog Toyota. It's Gray Gaulding from nearby Colonial Heights, about 30, 40-minute drive from the track. Gray, your Sunoco Rookie of the Year season. How's it going so far, and what's it like looking forward to this weekend at your home track?
Yeah, it's been a pretty. I feel like we've had a pretty solid season. You know, we've struggled a couple races, but it's just all about learning and getting used to these cars and tracks that I haven't been to. But I felt like myself and my team, BK Racing, we've gelled really well from the first race, in which I had to miss Daytona. But I started at Atlanta, and we felt like we had some good races there. And then now here in Richmond, I feel like we have a good car today. Thanks to SweetFrog, everybody at BK Racing, for everything they do. But if I had to look back on our season so far, I could point out a couple races that I felt like we didn't really have the finish to show for it because of bad luck. You know, like last week, we had a flat left front tire early in the race. So just things like that hadn't really been on our side. But overall, I'm having fun, man. I'm loving it. I'm loving these cars, loving racing with my heroes, kids, you know, guys that I've looked up to my whole career, and learning from them and talking to them week in and week out. It's just every week I'm trying to gain a little bit better, trying to gain a spot here and there, or just learn more. And you know, I've definitely learned on pit road. I've gotten like 4 or 5 penalties, so I'm learning a lot there. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been good.
Awesome. Thank you, Gray. Any questions for Gray? We'll start right here in the middle.
Nick Vandell, Progress Index. Gray, how much does it mean to be able to come back to Richmond, especially in the Cup Series, so close to home, and you know, just kind of just keep on living your dream, and now you get to bring it home?
Yeah, definitely. It's a dream come true, man. I mean, I remember sitting in turn 1 as a 8-year-old kid with my grandfather and my dad, sitting in the grandstands, just watching my heroes, watching those guys, just dreaming about, you know, the day that I could come out here and race on Sunday and race here at my home track. You know, I'm from Colonial Heights, Virginia. It's not very far away. Grew up coming here as a kid, and it's just so cool to know that I'm at this level at 19 years old. I definitely wouldn't be here without my family, the sacrifices they made, you know, moving from Colonial Heights to North Carolina when I was 10 years old for my racing career. So I look back and I just like, you know what, you know, just all the memories that I have at this track, not just driving on it, but as a kid, and the memories I got to share with my dad and my grandfather, and to know the hard work and dedication we've been able to do to get me to this level at so quickly in my career. And that's every driver's dream, is to be able to race on Sunday at their home track. And I'm just a very blessed guy to be able to be here. And Sunday's going to be great because I'm going to have all my family, all my friends, and even all the great fans that are here in the Richmond area that's been watching me ever since I was a young kid to now me growing into a young man. So learned a lot over the years. I've learned a lot here at Richmond, been doing a lot of studying on YouTube and trying to talk to as many people as I can, so I'm prepared enough for Sunday. It's definitely a long race.
Jeff?
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. Gray, I'm just wondering, when you were coming here as a kid, any memorable races from watching in the stands or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. I remember when Kyle Busch spun out Dale Jr. for the lead, and I remember seeing the grandstands just go berserk, and that was a good memory. But there's been a lot of good memories. I remember coming here when I was probably 7 or 8, and I actually watched the Truck Series race here, which was pretty cool, seeing Tony Stewart and Kevin Harvick, I think, was in it. It was pretty cool to see some trucks come around here. But overall, you know, there's been so many good races here, man. You know, I mean, Richmond always puts on a good show. I was just telling my manager, Rusty, and my crew chief in the hauler, like, I just love watching racing here. Like, when you come to Richmond, it's just a good old short track. You know, you got to have your car handling good on entry and on exit, and just an all-around good track. And even as a driver, like tomorrow night, tomorrow I'm going to be in the grandstands watching like a spectator the Xfinity race, so I'm pretty excited about it. But overall, Richmond has a lot of great races and a lot of great races over the years. I know Denny Hamlin. I've been watching him for many years here in the grandstands, just wear these guys out. He really knows what's good, you know, to have in your car for here. So I've always kept an eye on him over the years.
Do you have a dog in the fight for that Kyle Jr. Famous race?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, the thing is, though, I've always rooted. I always rooted for Jeff Gordon and Jimmy. But yeah, when I saw Kyle spin Dale Jr. out, I knew he was probably going to have some security or something to help him get out of there because that place is pretty crazy.
Go ahead. Car Channel 8 right here in the back. You're 19, you're a rookie. Do you ever have any starstruck moments out there, or is it too busy for you to notice, holy crap, this is Jimmy Johnson right behind me, and I just got bumped by Junior, and I'm trying to catch up to Denny?
Yeah, you know, sometimes, you know, when I put the helmet on, you know, I'm kind of in my own zone, and I try to focus, and I'm a guy out there racing them as hard as I possibly can, and but yeah, sometimes I kind of pinch myself. Is like earlier today in practice, like I drove for Kevin Harvick when I was 12 years old. He signed me to a developmental program to run super late models for him, and then I was driving my rear end off to stay in front of him in practice just to kind of prove a point, I guess. So it's pretty cool to race against my heroes, guys that I looked up to and actually want to pattern my career, you know, like guys like Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, clearly Kevin Harvick, and it's just cool running side by side with them, and they're all smart racers. That's one thing I've learned about the Cup Series. These guys are such clean drivers, and like just the passes and the maneuvers they make. It's just really good for me to learn and watch, and I really enjoy racing with these guys. It's very cool to like I said, race against, you know, guys like Kevin Harvick that I had a, you know, great relationship when I was a young kid racing go-karts at his house. And now that I'm, like you said, I'm 19 years old and still got a whole career ahead of me, still got a lot to learn, and it's just good to talk to those guys. And that's been the main thing, is getting to know these guys and personally being able to say, hey, Kevin, hey, Denny, you know, what do I need to expect after 100 laps here at Richmond? So that's the main thing. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool knowing that I'm racing side by side with guys I looked up to my whole life.
Okay. Any other questions for Greg? Well, Greg, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate the time, and good luck on Sunday.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.